So I'm making this video because I don't know. Well, one thing, not any real reason, I guess. Well, no, I have reasons, but the last three videos I've made have 13 views each, which I think is interesting and funny. I mean, I guess it's not funny, but interesting. And I realized that I just keep repeating myself. I just keep saying the same stuff over and over. Like I sought the truth from God, and I don't really have any answers. It's not like I saw the truth from God and I can tell you what it is, which is actually kind of like, I think there are a lot of people out there who, or some people who, like had an experience and so they have the answer. And I don't get it. I don't know, because that's not what happened to me. And I have, like super whatever stuff I've talked about, and I keep repeating myself. I just keep saying the same thing over and over again. But like, nobody still, well, one guy said once, like a while ago, like months ago, I have to plug my computer. He said, damn girl, you need a hug. um, and then like a friend from Australia made a comment once, but nobody, I guess, no, I don't know, nobody's asked questions or interacted with me. And I wonder who those 13 people are who have watched my videos, the last three anyway, and what you think of what I've said. And like I said, I keep repeating myself. I just keep saying the same stuff with no real like meat about it. But what's on my mind right now is that I don't know. I have this super crazy experience that isn't really easy to describe. And if I did try to describe it, you would just think I was nuts and you wouldn't believe me. And like I said in other videos, that's the irony of things for me anyway, to me, is that before this all happened to me, I wouldn't have believed it from anybody. Not really. I would have just because like, okay, the thing is, like, people just kind of blank out, and when you talk about stuff like this, like that. And anyway, mostly right now I'm thinking about relationships that I've lost in my life, and I don't mean romantic relationships, I mean friendships. Excuse me. I had a really fucked up upbringing that super fucked up my head. And I had a lot of potential. Like, I had really good friends, people who were awesome, and I shit on everything and destroyed it. And then like everybody, I went through a lot of shit, and I have a story, but I'm not going to talk about it unless I ever meet somebody who wants to talk about life and their story. And nobody's ever asked me questions, even in my family. I lost all the friends I used to have. I have some friends now that I've made through work, but I don't hang out with anyone. I'm a total like hermit kind of. But nobody ever asks any questions about, like, and I guess mostly I mean my family, about what I say has happened to me. You know, no one's ever like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Can you explain that more? People just, and that, I think, like, I don't want to get all Bible-y, but it, because I don't really, that doesn't speak to me, that stuff, and the thing that's happening to me. But there's like, I think maybe that's the veil. I was talking to my kid about it because he just isn't interested really, but he wants to be kind, and we're close and he's a good guy and everything, but he just like this thing is not something that he can even relate to at all, which I get. And then in the beginning of it, like 5 years ago, because it was so intense and I just went off the deep end. Um, and I didn't know. I thought, I don't really want to talk about that, but I did. I went off the deep end and I think I alienated people for sure. Luckily my kids, like, we still have a really good relationship, but even he is like, I don't really like, I can't relate to that, but I love you. And, um, which is cool, but also hard. Um, and I realize right now I'm not really saying anything. Like, if you're watching this, if somebody watches this, they're probably like, you're not really saying anything. And I feel like that about, well, no, that's not true. Anyway, I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm lonely and ruined relationships and, um, kind of got left alone, which is what happens when you are super jacked up in the head and and you don't know how to treat people right. And I honestly, like, also ironically, I feel more like myself. Not really like in this video. I'm not. This is, but what I mean is, the last 5 years have given me back myself in like a lot of ways, but not like the way that I think a lot of people think about having an encounter with God. And I don't know, there's lots of books and stuff. It's like all of a sudden, it's um, you I think it seems to happen for people. It didn't happen for me. All of a sudden you find God and everything's okay and you have this life change and you're on a new path. That's not what happened to me. Uh, I have miracles and stuff that I know aren't believable. And like miracles, like the thing in my face, jaw that heals the pain. Um, that is totally unrelatable because it's not, nobody has that. I snorted. But mostly, maybe right now, all I could say is I was thinking about friends I've lost and wishing I could apologize. And, sometimes you can't, but because I'm not a bad guy. But I act, anyway, I don't know. I'm wondering who the 13 people are that watched my last 3 videos. It can't be the same 13 people, right? And it's just funny. 13 is like a weird kind of esoteric number. And if you are watching my videos, probably along with lots of other people's videos, because you want to know the truth or something, and you get like go down the rabbit hole of esotericism, which is really interesting. But what's happened with me is that I go down those rabbit holes, and I did a lot more in the beginning, like always thinking like this is going to be the answer, this is going to be the thing, and it just never was. Nothing's ever been the answer or the thing, even though I have these miracles, and there's more than just the thing in my face, but it's too weird to explain. If I talked about it, it's just too weird. But I have a ton more like supernatural things that always are happening to me. Um, so like the 13, 13, 13, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But like ultimately, that stuff has never really panned out or never really ended up meaning anything. Even I think there's something to the mystery schools and all of the different, I don't know, man. All I'm wondering is this, any of you guys, if anybody watches this video and maybe ever wants to ask me a question or say hi, that'd be cool. Because um yeah, I'm lonely. Like I'm always saying, I'm always repeating myself. So I wanted to say something new and interesting, but right now I'm kind of hung up on a couple of friendships I had that I ruined and how much I miss that, and good, really good people. And I'm obviously I didn't mean to, but I was really, really screwed up in the head. And so like maybe I can like continue one thread, this experience of like super and crazy intense suffering that's super hard to really hard to I say super a lot that's very hard to describe changed me changed my the way I think. And I'm not done. That's the thing. Like if I don't know if you're like me, like I'm a huge reader, voracious reader my whole life, and as a kid it saved me. And I think I always, well, obviously I'm not alone here. You know, there's like books and movies and music, and they, if you're a in like emotionally intense person, maybe or something, you can get caught up in that and think that like it's going to be like that, like that. Well, that's what I did anyway. So I'm not trying to, you know, if I when everything started happening, I was it's hard to explain, but I thought a lot of things that had to be, I guess, corrected, but it was never explained to me what was happening. But it was like torment, and that torment changed my way of thinking into realizing that it's not life, or life isn't like a book or a movie. At least in the super intense, like now here's the answer and everything will be okay. It's not like, it hasn't been like that for me. It just hasn't at all. And I thought it was going to be like that. And it's just continues. I mean, you just keep going, right? Like life just keeps happening. Um, and but I was kind of like all of the stuff that happened that was like a torment, which is I can't describe it. I could try if I was like sitting down with someone who was interested and I didn't feel like an idiot when I try to talk about it, because that's mostly it. Most people, nobody's really interested that I've met, um, and explain what happened and how it released me from belief in like grandiose kind of outcomes or situations. And I still have like I mean I still have a ton of problems. So that's the thing. I'm not like fixed and everything's okay, and but I have all these supernatural things that are happening and always are with me. And so like I'm gonna take a tangent, a side note. I'm always like I go through periods now of like of just walking away from research and trying to find out other people and reading about other people's experiences with God and stuff. And then I'll come back to it a little. And I found this one guy who calls himself the messenger. And like I said before in another video, like I don't doubt people's experiences anymore. I wouldn't have even read that before. Like before this all happened to me, I wouldn't have even been interested. So I guess, why people aren't interested. People, anyway, aren't interested. But he calls himself the messenger, and he's the messenger of God for anyway, I think he's definitely having a real experience, but based on what I have experienced, one thing that he said, I read a ton of stuff on his website, and anyway, I'm not gonna like shit on him because he's having a thing, but he said God is intermittent, God is not constant, God doesn't. And for me, and he's basically, that's like a paraphrase of like God's communication with you, I think, or something. But mine is constant. I have constant. The thing in my face is constant, and it's 24/7. And other stuff that I feel in my body, and it means a lot more than that. It's not just, anyway. So I'm always like, when I find other people's stories and I kind of get excited for a minute, and I'm like, okay, well, what kind of like experience is this person having? And then I think, well, okay, I'm not the authority on all things supernatural, but when someone says something that I'm like, well, I know that's not true because I'm experiencing this, and I don't think that means that everything they're saying or experiencing is false. Like that's so kind of important, I think, is that there's truth and lies all mixed in together and stuff. And anyway, there's never any like one I haven't found, and it's been 5 years. And I've not ever, and I've done a lot of research. Like I'm not an idiot. I mean, maybe I am an idiot, but I've kind of inadvertently, and I think I said this in other videos, so I'm being repetitive, but I can't remember now. It's been a year. I've been in Salt Lake City for almost a year, November 1st. And um shit, what was I saying? Damn it. I forgot. I can't remember. Maybe I was talking about like how there's truth and lies. There's truth in every, there's like, especially like in all the religions have a piece of truth about like what else there is, let's just say. Because no, a lot of people, especially in Western society and especially like liberal people, don't want to talk about God at all. You can talk about Buddhism, you can talk about Judaism, but you can't talk about like Jesus or just really like God, which is totally and completely understandable because society is, it shapes us, it molds us, it determines the way we think, culture. And I get it because people who claim religion oftentimes are not people you want to be like. And if you are someone like me, that is. So I always want to like make that delineation of like, I'm not everyone, and there are lots of people with lots of different ideas, and I get atheists, and I totally do. I'm not like you shouldn't be an atheist because there really is a God, because I don't actually at all after these 5 years believe that God, well, I think God is incomprehensible and that trying to understand God will drive you insane. Perhaps a little bit. But if people are like, there's no God, I get it, because look at the world. So if you're one of those people who like, I sound like a valley girl, who don't understand how anyone could never believe in God or whatever, like you're not experiencing our culture and our society, and you're not understanding why any people would be turned off. And I think atheism is oftentimes a response to religion, as opposed. Anyway, I more like at times, because I'm super moody and my affiliations go up and down, but the Native American, the natives, Aboriginal peoples, all over the place, none of them are atheists. They all kind of, I think, believed in the Great Spirit and experienced it because maybe, perhaps, there was a little bit of a purity in them, and humility that allows you to experience it. Because one thing I'm certain of is that to experience the other, which I think I remember now what I was talking about, but like the other, it does require humility, or at least like a desire for humility. And maybe it doesn't even require that, but it's good to have it. Um, I think I was thinking about the other. That's maybe what I was talking about. Like, there's the other. There's society, culture, and all the things that drive us, and the fact that like I said in my last video about consumers, like consumerism, I mean, that's basically what we are. And I don't think there's like a lot of really great people in this world who are just doing the best they can. And but this Western society is very, very much consumer driven. Like, make products and sell them, we buy them, and we can't live without money, and we don't know how to live. If we went out into the, if we had to, we wouldn't really do such a great job because we've lost the knowledge of everything, or that's how I feel. And it's empty and it's sad. And I just wonder if most people do really kind of feel like an emptiness, like deep down, even if they're fulfilled, even if they have a great partner and they have great children and they feel fulfilled and they contribute to life, but say they're not interested at all in like what else there is. But like, is there something inside deep down that's like, wait, but what else is there? Like, what happens when I die? Because if you're not thinking about that, then, and one of the friends that I lost the friendship with, but she was amazing. I ruined that friendship, but she would give, she'd be like, that sounds like something you'd say, because I was always like, well, yeah, but we're all just going to die anyway. Or, whatever. You would have to, anyway. So like, but we are. And what does that mean for if we live an amazing life and probably I should just stop talking. Doesn't, but don't, like, then what? And I know for sure that there is something else, and I know there is. I saw it and got answered, not in the way that I wanted to, still not in the way that I wanted to. I'm still always asking for a conversation. I don't get it. I mean, I've had conversations, but they were not. That was part of the torment, the like abasement. And there are people. That's whatever. If you ever want to talk about that, I can. But I got answered, so I know there's something else. I know that. Um, but what it actually means, I lean more towards the same way I used to be, which was my friend would say, that sounds like something you'd say, well, what does it all matter? I lean more towards, like, I think probably that ultimately, I don't know, it doesn't actually matter anything. Anyway, that's all. Maybe 13 people will watch this, and maybe one person out of 13 might want to ask me a question. If you don't want to ask me a question, don't, please. I don't want to, like, but if you want to ask me a question or engage in a conversation about deep shit, I am here. I just spit on myself. So someone, maybe one of you guys, one of you, someone. Okay, that's it. It is October 10th, and the world's fucking crazy. So someone hit me up with a question if you feel like it. Bye.